have seen over the years gradual changes. Fine, they're still very slow and very minor changes, but we're still witnessing changes at least. And then we think that we do not think that those sanctions have been beneficial because they led to those small improvements. We think that if you uplift those sanctions, we think they should only be done on the basis of those improvements. So I have two rebuttals before I move on to my argument. First of all, I want first to point out that they keep on talking about the benefits about trade liberalization, how this would just trickle down those effects and how this would reach the masses. First of all, they never talked exactly about how this would happen, how those government would stop trading first with all those countries, with Burma. They never really explained how this would happen in the first place, and we think this is the main issue, this is the main motion, what it is about today, and they never tackle it. So they talked about how trade will trickle down all those positive effects that they've been kept on repeating. We think that, first of all, even before the sanctions, Burma was the reason why Burma was already in a bad situation. It wasn't because of the sanction, it was because of government mismanagement. And then, second of all, we think that second of all, that Burma will never let trade happen, because what happened with trade is that they're so scared of foreign influence. And then if you let trade happen, all those companies coming, they will never really like this. For example, if you look at what happened in 2008 with the cyclone, they never wanted all those foreign powers to come in the country. They were all so scared. And a lot of people were dying still, but they still didn't want those countries to intervene in the first place, even if it was just humanitarian assistance.
On that point.
And even if, no thank you, even if they're talking about those benefits that would just reach the country. We think that because the companies are all nationally owned, we think that those benefits that they've been talking about will never really reach the masses, because those companies are national properties. And my second rebuttal, they talked about how the minorities will be empowered. But first of all, we know that in Burma, one of the problems is that you have a lot of minorities, and there's so many problems. And then, if you think about how they will actually come together and come to find an agreement all together just because you have the EU intervening, we do not think this will happen. And second of all, we think that all the income that they talk about, this would not happen, because if the companies first are nationally owned, first of all, it will never reach the people, will never reach those masses. And then we know with generalization, what happened is that you always have the rich would always get richer and the poor always get poorer. And they always have this amount of money on their hands which will never reach the masses. So before I move on to my argument, yes.
The point is that Burma is not putting a sanction on itself. The people on the ground are dying to trade with foreign direct investment that are actually interacting with people, businesses on the ground.
I do not think that Burma is sanctioning itself. They're just sanctions on them. And that's what the whole debate is about today. So moving on to my first argument. No, thank you. Moving on to my first argument today. I will talk about how even if you lift the sanctions, it will not actually counteract the influence of China. So first of all, if you look at the nature of Burma, you can see that Burma is a dictatorship, and since 1962 and then 1988 and then until now it's still a kind of dictatorship. So the problem with dictatorship in nature, what happens with every single dictatorship, is that they're very conservative with their power. They're always scared that they will lose their power because everything is always based on one single individual. And they know that once they leave one semblance of liberties to those people, they know that they will lose the power that they have and the authority that they have. That's why we think that they will never actually in the first place let any foreign powers to come trade with them in the first place. And then what do you think that for a dictatorship, it was started in 1962, why do you think that trade with China actually started in 1962 as well? The thing is that you actually have a lot of similarities between China and Burma. Yes, both are kind of authoritarian regimes. But the thing is that that's actually what helps to have any platform of discussion. Because then if you have the West, they're always talking about how they want to impose all those democratic values, and we already know that those that those dictatorship in nature are very conservative and they do not trust those foreign powers. So do you really think that this is the platform how you will actually have discussion in the first place? We do not think so. That's why China in this place, in this situation, no thank you. That's why China in this situation is actually very smart, because now they know that they do not want to come with any kind of morals that they need to teach those people. They just say, we want to trade, that's easy. Just trade with us. That's why you see that there have been so much trade between those two countries. And we know that China is actually the largest trade partner with Burma. So what happened is that the reason why China wants to actually have some kind of relation with Burma is because they know that they benefit from it, because they just want to have the resources. And when they have the resources, then they can actually have this for free. They have a kind of monopoly that other countries do not have because of the sanctions itself. So we know that they actually already benefit from those sanctions. And what happened is that we've seen that every time Burma has always faced a crisis, they always counted on China to back them on. That they always had like some kind of financial support to help them. And we know that because of this, no thank you. So we know that because of this, what happened is that those people actually, they have a big influence on those countries, because China has a big influence on Burma, because every time Burma needs some help, there's always China to help it, because we already know that the democratic values that they want to impose do not work this way. So that's why by doing this, this is more an indirect form of discussion. That's why, for example, we look at we know that China, for example, has a lot of had some relation with North Korea, and when there was a conflict with North Korea and South Korea, the whole international community counted on China to actually use their power to influence and then make sure that they will not use nuclear weapon. So that's why we think that because China actually wants to play a major role in the international society today, that's why we think that they actually have a lot of potential, and they will always hold on to this particular relationship that they cultivate with Burma. That's why, for this reason, we think that they're the best people to actually engage in any form of discussion and then bring about changes in the long run. Thank you.